Yuki Tsunoda, pit lane start, qualified last in a car that's obviously the same as Max Verstappen's, 13th in the Grand Prix. He was running the old spec floor because of the Imola crash that he had, but I suppose that's a small excuse, if any at all. He felt he was getting the most out of the car as well, and yet it was sliding across both axles. He just had no answers, and it looks as bad as it has for anybody in that second Red Bull. So where now? He's going to get to the end of the year, surely, but his head must be in an awful place, Crofty.
If you think the second Red Bull seat is just about talent, this will blow your mind. Check this video out.
Yeah, and he will get to the end of the year. He won't be replaced at Red Bull. He'll be there for the end. Helmut Marko's come out and suggested that it wasn't all down to Yuki Tsunoda, and there were issues outside of Yuki's control in this one. Where does he go from here? Back to the sim, study the data, because the details will be in the data, and find a way to drive that car better. He has, 96 races worth of experience now. He's a decent driver, is Yuki Tsunoda. I'm sure he can find a solution to his troubles, but he needs to find them quick, because Red Bull would like him to score points, unless they've given up on the Constructors' Championship already, which they probably have, to be honest, given the gap between themselves and McLaren.
Isn't it telling that even with nearly 100 races under his belt, Yuki is still struggling to extract pace from machinery Max would likely tame in a single session? That speaks volumes about Max's adaptability. This just reinforces how much of Red Bull's success hinges on Max Verstappen. While others spiral in setup confusion, Max continues to extract elite pace. No excuses, no lost weekends.
This is the 7th year we're having the same conversations. 7 years. It's near, that's an awfully long time since Red Bull haven't found a second driver competitive enough to rack up the results and points that they need, right? Since Ricciardo left at the end of 2018. And honestly, because all of these drivers that have come through, the Gaslys and the Albons, and they're all racking up results in other cars, aren't they? So there's something fundamentally that is not right in the way that car is designed or works for other drivers. It is so bespoke for Max. It's reminiscent of the Schumacher Benetton days. Schumacher left, and the team won one race in the next 7 years, having won 2 world championships in a row. And that's the risk. If Max is a flight risk, that whole operation will need to rethink the way they design their cars for other people.
This analogy to the Schumacher era is spot on. Like Michael then, Max now is covering up fundamental weaknesses in car philosophy, weaknesses Red Bull has yet to solve for any second driver. Isn't this the clearest proof yet that Red Bull isn't just built around Max? It depends on him. What happens if he walks? That's the existential question nobody wants to answer.
So I've got a question. If Red Bull can't find a driver that can come in and drive that car, or if they haven't found, I should say, a driver that can come in and drive that car straight away, do they need to widen the pool a bit and just get a driver who drives like Max, a driver who's got Max Verstappen's style? And if so, who is that driver? Because that's the one maybe they should be targeting. If they can't change the car, who's the driver out there that is most like Max in his driving style?
Okay, can I just put a pick up on that one simply because of what Nico said? Because I asked him exactly that same question over the weekend, Crofty, and he said it'd be fine. Lando would be fine. George would be fine. Charles would be fine. Any of the top drivers would be fine. I don't know. Do you agree with that? One thing that he was saying is when because he was out on track and he was doing what Martin and Jensen and some of the guys do and go and watch them up close. And he said, I think he was out of turn 7, where he witnessed Max, and his description of how he controlled the oversteer at the back of the car was, he said it was like a work of art. He was like treading this fine dance, and he wasn't ripping the tires to shreds. Then Yuki goes and dials in a bit more understeer to try to alleviate the problem of all the oversteer, and he's getting snaps and he's trashing his tires. So it's just that ability, isn't it? I mean, if that's the answer, can the others do that? I mean, do you agree? Do you think it could be any of the top 4 or 5 that are in that sort of class that's perhaps one down from Max Karun?
I think if you were one of those top 4 or 5 drivers, you'd have a lot of doubts around being able to get in there and get on with the car straight away. And it's not a honestly, it's not a topic of conversation we have much in Formula One because we expect the good and the great drivers to be adaptable and to get on with it. And like Carlos Sainz, he's changed teams 5 times and he's learned the style and got on with it. Oscar Piastri, went to McLaren. We heard all about Daniel's troubles and the car not suiting him and the car not suiting his style, and Oscar just got in and got on with it, right? So yes, there's an element of I think the good drivers are adaptable, but I do think the Red Bull example is very extreme, and this is something we often hear in MotoGP, where riders often say that a certain bike and a certain style is built for a rider, and it takes a long time for other riders to adapt. And the Red Bull example is the only one I can think of since, as I said, Bennett in the 90s, which is a parallel to MotoGP. We used to have this with Ducati, for example. Only Casey Stoner could ride it. So I think it's a bit of a risky move if any one of the top drivers went there, because the car does seem to be on a sort of extreme edge in terms of the requirements of a driver.
If adaptability is the name of the game, why is no one adapting to this car? Maybe it's not about versatility, it's about Verstappen level precision, and that's not exactly a transferable skill. Red Bull doesn't need a Max replica, they need a philosophy shift. Relying on one generational talent to master the car's quirks is unsustainable, especially with Lando, Charles, and George thriving in more balanced machines.
There is one driver who Racing Bulls think has a very similar style to Max Verstappen. I don't think he's ready yet, and as I say, Yuki Tsunoda's going nowhere this season. But is Isaac Hadjar the answer to their problems? This guy.
If I was Isaac Hadjar, I'd be saying, sorry to interrupt. If I was Isaac Hadjar, I'd be going, no, don't want it. No. Go on. I'm running a mile from that at the moment. Why would you potentially destroy your career? Because it's destroyed everybody else's career up to this point. I mean, some have bounced back, and I'm thinking Alex Albon, I'm thinking, Pierre Gasly to some extent, but all the others, thanks very much. Good night.
If I was Isaac Hadjar, I'd be trying to hang on to the Racing Bull seat and then try and get myself a deal at Ferrari or Aston or anywhere but Red Bull.
But if Isaac Hadjar is the closest thing to Max Verstappen, then he has the easier task of adapting to that car, which has been designed and developed more to Max's liking. And Red Bull say because Checo Perez was so he was a bit reluctant in coming forward to give feedback last year. So therefore, the feedback was all Max's. Therefore, the car kind of went in a Max direction. So is Isaac Hadjar the answer? I don't know.
Over the winter, they told us that Liam Lawson was the closest to Max's style, and that's why they promoted him instead of Yuki.
Yeah, but I don't think that was right either.
Why gamble your future on a car that only one driver on Earth can master? If you're Isaac Hadjar, is Red Bull a promotion or a trap? The closest to Max label is starting to sound more like marketing than science. They said it about Liam. Now it's Isaac. But no matter the name, no one's come close to matching Max in that car. Are we even sure there is a second Max on the grid?
Checo's stock's gone up without doing anything. He'll be back in Formula One before you know it. I mean, honestly, it's a strange thing. You don't witness it very often, but it's a huge problem, isn't it? Because they're sinking again in the constructors.
I mean, if Max does go, it will be fascinating what happens to that team. It really will, because you look at the points that the second car has scored. I mean, on the map, but the second car, whatever it's scored since 2019, that's not going to put them in contention anywhere in the championship, is it?
No. Moving on, interesting timing though, isn't it? That Christian was linked with Ferrari over the weekend.
Where did that story come from? Was that you on the internet, Karun? I tell you what, I'll make a story up about Christian Horner today.
No, I read it and I was really confused. I mean, I saw he batted it away, didn't he?
He batted it away.
Yeah.
If Max Verstappen were to leave Red Bull tomorrow and the second car keeps struggling to score meaningful points, what would be left of the team's dominance? Are we about to witness the same collapse Ferrari faced post Schumacher? Or can Red Bull reinvent itself without their driver centric car philosophy? This makes Christian Horner's rumoured Ferrari talks all the more intriguing. Could the top brass be sensing the writing on the wall and looking for a new challenge?